Welcome and good morning. Today is Wednesday, March 9th. I hereby call the Public Service Subcommittee to order. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representatives Alexander, Jernigan, Johnson, Kiesling, Marsh, Wendell, Chairman Helton.
Here.
Chairman Helton, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Before we get started, are there any personal orders? Seeing none, today we have two calendars. First, we will take up the final calendar and then the special calendar. There are 39 bills on the final calendar. First item up is House Bill 2668 by Speaker Sexton. Chairman Zachary, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for recognizing I am not Speaker Sexton, but I am honored to carry this on his behalf, members and Madam Chair. I appreciate his initiative to support our TWRA and TBI officers. Based on the makeup of this team, this committee, we all passed legislation a few years ago to support our highway patrolmen and allowing them, providing an exemption where we went from 30 to 25 years to allow them to get the 80% for their health insurance. This piece of legislation would simply roll in the TWRA officers and TBI commissioned officers. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions from the members? The question has been called. All those in favor of sending House Bill 2668 to state full signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to state full.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee.
Thank you. Item number 2, House Bill 2141 by Leader Lamberth has been taken off notice. Item number 3 is House Bill 2728 by Leader Lamberth. Okay, he is in another committee. We will roll this 3 spaces. Item number 4 is House Bill 1584 by Leader Camper. It has been taken off notice. House Bill 1584 has been calendared 3 times in this committee and failed to pass. Without objection, the bill is sent to the special calendar. Item number 5 is 1583 by Leader Camper. It has been taken off notice. House Bill 1583 has been calendared 3 times in this committee and failed to pass. Without objection, the bill is sent to the special calendar. Item number 6 is House Bill 415 by Leader Camper. It has been rolled to the Hill. We are going to take item number 4 out of order. It is House Bill 2874 by Chairman Weaver. Chairman Weaver. $28.74. 34.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Do we have a motion and a second? Yes. I have a motion. Do we have a second? Yeah. Chairman, you're recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Chairman. Last week, we were here on the discussion of the ownership of the Nathan Bedford Forrest bust. And if I may, Madam Chair, I would like to give full time that I have to go out of session and to have Mr. Edward Phillips, who is the Forrest family attorney, and he would like to present this distinct difference between this artifact and any other artifact that is in the museum held today. And so if it may please you and the committee, I'd like to go out of session and have that time given to Mr. Phillips.
Without objection, we will go out of session.
Madam Chair, members, I'm H. Edward Phillips.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Could you please state your name and who you represent for the record?
My full name is Henry.
And you need to be on mic, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
Just a loud voice. Oh, there we go. Well, you would think I'd get this by now.
And you have 3 minutes for testimony.
All right. My name is H. Edward Phillips. I'm an attorney for the Forrest family, and I have represented the Sons of Confederate Veterans in various proceedings in Tennessee and the state of North Carolina. So I am here before you to discuss this matter. What I can say is that the history of this matter, or the history of this bust in particular, the item, goes back to 1973 and to Senator Doug Henry. Senator Henry was a member of the Sons of Confederate Veterans, and he had asked for a resolution to place before both the House and the Senate, so it's started in the Senate, and it's the Senate Joint Resolution number 54. And within that time, he had shepherded it through both houses, worked on it, and got it ready to go. And it was approved, or by both houses on May 4th, 1973, and then finally signed and approved by Governor Winfield Dunn on May 14th of that year. But there are some very specific items in here, and that is, when you look at page 2108, it's the Public Acts 1973. This is from the 88th General Assembly. So this is where Senator Doug Henry started. Whereas there's an empty niche on the second floor of the state capitol which would be appropriate for the display of a bust of General Forrest. And whereas the Joe Johnston Camp 28 of the Sons of Confederate Veterans has evidenced a desire to procure and appropriate a bust of General Forrest for display in the niche. So now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the 88th General Assembly of the State of Tennessee, the House of Representatives concurring, that the Tennessee Arts Commission is requested and directed to work with the Joe Johnston Camp 28 of the Sons of Confederate Veterans and any other person or organization which may be interested toward procurement of a suitable heroic bust of General Nathan Bedford Forrest for display in an appropriate niche on the second floor of the Capitol. Be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be sent to the Chairman of the Tennessee Arts Commission and the Commander of the Joe Johnston Camp, Sons of Confederate Veterans. So the position is that there was a legal action that took place in 1973, and the legal force of this, yes, a resolution is the will of the majority of both houses. It is not law, we know that, but it has to be approved by the governor. The governor could veto it. He did not. And if it was vetoed, it would have to go through the process all over again like a vetoed piece of legislation. But what had happened was, during that period of time, once the resolution was passed, Joe Johnston Camp of the Sons of Confederate Veterans moved forward and worked toward raising funds and procuring the bust. And it was their understanding, the Sons of Confederate Veterans, that this bust would be on the second floor of the state capitol. It was an agreement. It was binding. It was a resolution. It was resolved. So unlike any other item that is within the inventory of the Tennessee State History Museum, and by the way, we appreciate all the efforts that they do to tell the story of Tennessee and of the nation. And we understand everything that they do, and they do a laudable job with everything they do with the number of artifacts they have. But this one, we submit that based on fact, when it was finally put in place in 1978, it was put in there and there was controversy then. This particular bust has had controversy surrounding it since the time of its inception. And the Sons of Confederate Veterans, there's a national level organization and there are divisions within that for each of the states that are part of the organization. Without the national entity, there are no divisions, there are no camps. So the entity is a corporation, it's a nonprofit, and these camps subsist because of the national entity. So with regard to this bust, and this is the most
I'm
important
sorry, I
part-
hate to interrupt you,
Yes, ma'am.
but your time is up. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Do we have any questions from the members? Chairman Kiesling, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair Lady. Appreciate it. Mr. Phillips, so let's back up. So this was bound then. Let's touch on that again.
Okay.
And so what happened? The bust was supposedly then going to be there perpetually. I'm saying this very simply, but I'm simple-minded guy. So let's just get down to the bottom line. It was supposed to be there forever, perpetually. Is that correct?
That is correct. Your understanding
That is
absolutely
correct. So it was the building commission then that turned around and broke that bond then, if you will.
That's correct. And that is why the Sons of Confederate Veterans is coming before you today asking that it be returned to them. And the Forrest family is also, fully with the Sons of Confederate Veterans with regard to that particular issue. And the bottom line is this, is that unlike any other thing that has come into, any other artifact or object that has come into the inventory of the State Museum, this one came in 1978 to the state capitol. 2 years later, in 1980, it comes into the inventory of the the History Museum. 2 years later. I've been told, well, that was just a gap, just a long process getting paperwork done, 2 years. So at this point, what happens is, in my mind, is that the Sons of Confederate Veterans, there's this resolution, it's resolved, it has the force of an agreement, and all the parties agreed at that time that this is what was to be, and it would be perpetual.
So, if this is if this isn't if it proves unsuccessful today to pass, then what are the options of the Sons of the Confederate of our veterans? What would be the next step for them if you're allowed to disclose that to
I
the
am,
membership?
and we have discussed this matter with the leadership of the Tennessee State History Museum. We would have to go through the transfer process. However, what the family and the Sons of Confederate Veterans fear is that this has been such a political hot potato, for lack of a better term, and it's been everybody's, wants to punt it somewhere else. It's one of those things where you have controversy in 1978, you had controversy again for the past couple of years, and we're afraid, and it's no reflection on the staff or leadership of the Tennessee State History Museum, but we are afraid we are going to get locked out in that transfer process because people might say, well, we still want to keep it. And that's the fear. And the History Museum does have donors that do come back and request items back. And we believe there's a legal basis for this request. And again, had it not been for the resolution passed in 1973, we wouldn't have that legal basis upon which to come before the General Assembly and say, please make sure that this carve-out that originally happened, that we don't have to go through the process to get our item back because we realize, the original agreement was breached and we just want it back.
Chairman Kiesling?
I'll conclude at that point. Thank you, Mr. Phillips. I appreciate your time today.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being
Chairman
here and for
Jernigan.
information. Chair Lady, thank you.
Thank you. Chairman Jernigan, you're
Thank
recognized.
you. The resolution, in the resolution, and you read it, and I wasn't, either you're talking fast or I'm listening slow, but it says in the resolution that it's going to be in the second floor of the Capitol forever?
It says that it will be placed in the niche on the second floor of the state capitol. It doesn't use the term forever, but you have to understand that whether it's a monument that's on a square of a town here in Tennessee or a city, or it's by the courthouse or wherever it may be, or these other artifacts that come into existence, that it was believed in 1973 this was perpetual. That was the understanding. No one had the idea that these things would eventually come down and people wanted them moved. And I have to admit, with the horrific death of George Floyd, there has been this reckoning nationwide. But this reckoning should not, hide objects. We should face our history. We should look at it and stare at it and determine for ourselves what these things mean to us as individuals. And I think people every day have the ability to empower themselves over these inanimate objects. They are, at the end of the day, inanimate objects that people put value or place scorn on. And the one thing that the family, in their view, the way they've looked at this is at Elm Springs, which is the international headquarters for the Sons of Confederate Veterans, because they do have entities in other countries. They know that their ancestors, Lieutenant General Nathan Bedford Forrest and his wife, Mary Ann Montgomery Forrest, are now reinterred there as of last September. The equestrian statue from Memphis, I was the attorney who obtained that and brought it back, and we are going to re-erect it and rebuild the plaza and restore it. And there are items from the gravesite that have significant historic value that are going to be placed on an exhibit at the museum. And the family believes that all these things should be together because this is the final resting place for their ancestors, and it makes sense. But they wouldn't come to you, nor would the SEV come to you and demand something that doesn't belong to them or that they didn't procure and pay money to create.
So I'm sorry.
You're recognized.
You said there's an agreement, or an agreement was made?
I mean,
And it's.
I'm sorry.
Is the agreement the resolution you're referring to?
yes, sir.
Okay.
And when Senator Henry did this, you know, he didn't have to use the language, whereas Joe Johnston Camp, number 28 of the Sons of Confederate Veterans, has evidenced a desire to procure and appropriate a bust of General Forrest for display in such niche, now therefore. And then he directs the Arts Commission, the Tennessee Arts Commission, to coordinate and work with the Joe Johnston Camp of the Sons of Confederate Veterans to make this happen. So you have the Sons of Confederate Veterans and everybody understanding that this resolution has passed, it's been approved, been signed by the governor, and now we have a duty, we have an obligation to fulfill in order to meet this resolution. Now granted, it took them quite some time to raise the funding, you know, find an artist and then get everything done. It takes time to do these things. And I can just attest from having moved monuments, I understand that process, and it's a long, drawn-out process. So it's one of those things where had the joint resolution never existed, the Sons of Confederate Veterans would have no claim to say that we believe this is the legal basis upon which the legislature set out action to be taken, directed the Sons of Confederate Veterans with the Arts Commission to take such action, and then what was being given, the quid pro quo, if you will, is the fact that it was going to be placed on the second floor of the state capitol in a specific niche across from Admiral Farragut to act as a juxtaposition of two great Tennessee sons. You know, Admiral Farragut in the Union Navy, and Nathan Bedford Forrest in the Army of Tennessee. And by the way, my family's from East Tennessee, and all my great-great-grandfathers served in the Union Army. And I had one of my uncles die as a prisoner of war on Belle Isle in Richmond, Virginia. So I will tell you, this is personal for me. And I shouldn't say that, but it's true.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Please just answer the question.
Yeah,
I apologize, it's my fault.
Thank you.
I forgot what I was asking the questions about, but,
Sorry.
okay, so that was resolved by the 88th General Assembly.
Correct.
And I would just will note that each General Assembly is not bound by the previous General Assembly.
That is correct.
You know, when they Sonny die, we start a new one.
Right.
And from what I understand, that bus was given over to the state, and then the state is in control of it. And that's, if we can move forward from there. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't some kind of other agreement that was in writing other than the resolution that you're presenting.
I am not aware of another agreement. It was simply a handshake between Senator Henry and his fellow camp members.
Okay. Well, I was 3 years old in 1973, so I wouldn't.
I understand.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Chairman Marsh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm sure that your museum and your Sons of the Confederate Veterans is a wonderful place. And as you said earlier, that you talked about this statue being punted around, and I think it probably has been talked about and punted around, but I think what I've heard is the Tennessee State Museum is really, really proud to have it. And I think that many more people will be able to see it in our state museum than they will in your museum. And I would like to offer that, why not make another one and have one in both of them?
I appreciate the sentiment, but I will tell you, the biggest thing on the plate right now in terms of the Forrest family is restoring that plaza, and it's going to take between $150,000 to $200,000 to do that. We don't have, the Sons of Confederate Veterans doesn't have the funding to do that. And we believe that based on the resolution that we procured it, we paid for it, and there are donors who do come to the museum and ask for items back, and they are given, but they go through the process and procedure. The only thing that we're saying that makes this different is that without Resolution 54, we would have to go through that process and procedure. Yep. But we're saying that this was carved out. There was an agreement made, it was a handshake, and in 1973 and in 2022, a handshake still means what it means in the state of Tennessee. And I believe that. And I believe that this agreement envisioned the perpetual placement of the bust in the state capitol building, as does the Sons of Confederate Veterans and the Forrest family. Yes, sir.
Chairman Wendell, you're recognized.
Yes, sir.
Is it your position that the removal of the bust by the commission constitutes a breach of contract?
It is my position that is in fact correct, because what the Sons of Confederate Veterans did, they gave an inter vivos gift in your lifetime, right? In the lifetime of the man who raised the money, and they're still alive.
You refer to a handshake. Is it your organization's position that this was in fact a contract, even though not in writing, it is a valid enforceable contract in the
Yes.
state of Tennessee?
Yes, it is. Under Tennessee law, since it's not dealing with realty, it does not have to be a written contract. So, with that being set up within the state's law, recognized by the courts of the state, then a simple handshake and an agreement is enough. Because what you had was, you had the quid pro quo. You had, we are telling you to go do these things by this resolution, do them, and it will be placed in the state capitol building on the second floor. Period. Forever.
Final question. What's been your response, or not your response, but what's been the response to you from the Attorney General's office? And I'm assuming you've approached them.
We have not discussed this with the Attorney General's office, and the Attorney General, I'm sure, could offer an opinion. And, you know, based on my experience, having been in many matters dealing with monuments and the like and artifacts, I believe, based on Tennessee law, that this contract did not have to be in writing. It did not deal with realty, with real property. It was personalty that was paid for by the Sons of Confederate Veterans, and therefore it was a binding contract until it was breached.
Chairman, one more question. I apologize, I misspoke. Is it your position that consideration for the contract was the providing of the bust itself?
The consideration from the Sons of Confederate Veterans was in fact providing the bust, and the consideration from the General Assembly through the joint resolution was placement of the bust.
And have you placed a monetary value on the bust?
You know, looking at the Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief of the national organization, the answer is no. I suppose that we could. I mean, it's worth X, whatever X is. I mean, for example, if this helps answer your question, the monument, the equestrian statue from Memphis is roughly worth $4.5 million. So this one, it's a much newer monument. It's a much smaller scale because the equestrian statue in Memphis is 1.5 times size life, right?
My only suggestion is that Mr. Marsh may have a very good point, and there may be a way to resolve this to everybody's satisfaction. And I'll be silent after this, but there may be a way to resolve this short of legislation or a lawsuit. I mean, there may be a way to resolve this based on what Mr. Marsh, Representative Marsh has suggested. And I would encourage the State Museum and the Attorney General and your organization to mediate this and try to come up with a conclusion short of legislative action. Because I think it appears there should be room for objective people to come to a conclusion that's satisfactory to both sides. Anyway, with that, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We need to hear, I believe, from the State Museum.
Madam Chair, members, thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning. Please state your name and who you represent for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hi. My name is Ashley Howell, Executive Director of the Tennessee State Museum, and I have with me Richard White, a curator with the Tennessee State Museum. I appreciate the comments today because the comments today talk about process, and throughout this process, the stance of the Tennessee State Museum is that we consider museum policies and procedures and in discussing this because we are objective people. We understand that this is an item. We understand how this item came to be into the collection. Just some points of clarification because in the resolution, it talks about the Tennessee Arts Commission. At that time, the Tennessee State Museum was under the Tennessee Arts Commission. The State Museum was under the Arts Commission until the creation of the Douglas Henry State Museum Commission about 12 years ago. So what we have in the artifact file is when the State Museum accepted the gift in 1978. The State Museum was involved in the installation of this artifact of the bust through state appropriation, also paid for the base of the bust and the installation. So in addition to being a part of the procurement and the creation, they were a part of the installation and also accepted the gift on behalf of the state of Tennessee. I have met, Richard and I both have met with representatives of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. We've also met with Representative Weaver. We're happy to kind of look at the process and how we can, look at this. But at the same time, I just want to say, we do have the bust on display. We do have a robust annual visitation, even coming out of COVID. There are requests to see the bust. We do have the bust on display with other items that were once in the Tennessee State Capitol. And we also stand behind the interpretation, not only of this item, but of Nathan Bedford Forrest at the State Museum and putting that in context with Tennessee history.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the members? Chairman, you're recognized. Johnson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So let me get this straight on how the bust ended up in the museum. The Capitol Commission voted to move the bust, which had to be approved by the Historical Commission,
Yes,
and they voted to move it to the museum.
yes.
No one in this body, I don't think, had anything to do with that, and I don't think you had anything to do with it. But here we are.
That's correct.
So I don't think that you put in a request to move the bust to the museum. And I just appreciate all the work that you've been doing on this, and I appreciate the work of the committee. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Jernigan?
I want to follow up what the speaker said, that process of the State Building Commission and then Historical Commission. Is that laid out in the Heritage Act? Or is that law that have to follow that process?
So, may I ask Representative Jernigan what specifically is laid out in the Heritage Protection Act? What is the specifics of what is in the act?
Well, it's a big act.
It is.
Josh, would you know?
I can say that it's in the law, that process.
That process is in the law. Okay. I'm sorry, we didn't go out of session. but
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was wanting to know.
Okay.
Okay,
So what is in the Tennessee Heritage Protection Act is the process to request a waiver from the Heritage Protection Act. So so the process was the State Capitol Commission requested a waiver for the movement as outlined in the Heritage Protection Act, and then went to the Tennessee Historical Commission for the approval of the waiver. And so that was the process. In terms of, what process the State Museum has sort of next steps. There is some language about a transfer by an accredited museum in the Heritage Protection Act, but this would be the first time that has been tested. So I've been very open and honest about that. And then there's also additional museum policies and procedures.
Okay, so just in my point, I think is that the Heritage Protection Act was passed by the legislature. It was in law. The process is laid out. The process followed the law, whether there was a resolution in 73 or not. This was a state law that's followed the process, and that's why the bus is where it is now. So thanks for the clarification.
Chairman Kiesling, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair Lady. Chair Lady. Mr. White, you haven't introduced yourself. Do you want to do that? Because this question I have is coming to you, please.
Richard White, curator at the Tennessee State Museum.
Thank you. My question, I want to know the day that this was discussed and voted on by the Tennessee Historical Commission. Were you there that day in that meeting?
I was not present that day.
You were not. Were you, Director?
I was. It was a virtual meeting.
Oh, it was a virtual meeting?
Yes.
Then, and of course, I could have asked Mr. Phillips this, and I apologize to him. I just failed to think of this. Was the Sons of the Confederate Veterans, was anyone there representing them that day, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge?
Yes, I'm asking you, Director.
I don't recall that there was.
But they could be. You don't recall,
Yes.
but you're not
Yes.
absolutely sure. Okay.
Yes.
Well, all right. That's all. Thank you. Thank you all, and thank you, Chair Lady.
Representative Alexander, you're recognized.
And I'm not sure if this question should have been for you or if it should have been for the attorney that spoke before you. Obviously, the Sons of the Confederate raised the money, did the bust, and gave it to the state to be put into the niche. Once it was given to the state, who did it belong to?
To the state.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, we're back in session. Thank you. Chairman Weaver, you're recognized. Do you have any further discussion?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, committee members. I thought that was a very robust discussion, and I am in agreement with Mr. Yes, Representative Wendell. I'm agreeing with you that there's a way forward in this. I would like to mention that this morning, the Tennessee Museum came to my office, and we sat and talked, said, how can we move forward on this? This obviously is very, on both ends, we're both very passionate about it. There is some language in the bill before you that's a bit broad for the Tennessee Museum, and we have agreed that we would like to work on this language and make it even more narrower, legal on both sides, and come back with an amendment to you for next week, and then take a vote. We would like to be able to try that. And so that's the process going forward. I've talked with both sides of the party. They were in agreement with that. And if it pleases Madam Chair and the committee members, I would like to do that going forward and take this bill and roll it to the heel of the calendar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is completely up to the committee. We need a motion to roll this to the hill. Do I have a motion? I have a motion and a second to roll it to the hill. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. We will roll it to the hill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, committee.
House Bill 2728 has been rolled to the Hill. Chairman Wendell, you are recognized.
Chairman, would I be out of order if I introduced a group from Morgan County leadership, who's in the back row and almost the next to the back row? Thanks for being here today. We're glad to have them. They're all much smarter. They've had a chance to be tutored by Ken Yeager this morning, so they're looking good.
Thank you for being here. Item number 7 is House Bill 1961 by Chairman Hazelwood. Do I have a motion and a second? We have a proper motion and second. Chairman Hazelwood, you're recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This is truly just a cleanup bill. Last year, if you will remember, we changed the Council on Pensions and Insurance to only consider pension matters. Unfortunately, there were a couple places in the code that we didn't get insurance moved out, and it still is requiring insurance matters to be referred to that council. So this just simply clears that up, and it makes absolutely, without any doubt that insurance matters no longer come before that council.
Thank you. The question has been called. All those in favor of sending House Bill 1961 to state full signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to state full.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Item number 8 is House Bill 2743 by Chairman Hicks. We have a motion and a second. Chairman, you're recognized. I think you have an amendment.
Yes, that is correct. Motion on amendment.
Can you verify your drafting code?
I sure can. 0.4863.
Okay. There's a proper motion and a second. Chairman, you're recognized on the amendment.
The amendment makes the bill.
Okay.
I'm more than happy to describe it, or do you want me to wait till we get it on?
We will go ahead and make a motion to put the amendment on the bill. The amendment is on the bill. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is on the bill. Chairman, you're recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Chair Lady. House Bill 2743, under current law, the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System Board of Trustees establishes the investment policy for the retirement system's funds, which may but does not currently include the divestment from certain investments. The amendment this bill allows the Investment Committee for the TCRS Board of Trustees to expeditiously divest from any investment it has with an entity found to be doing business with or supporting a country sanctioned by the U.S. Department of Treasury.
Sorry.
Got 2 amendments and he picked the wrong one.
Yep.
You have 2 amendments, and I've been told you were speaking on the wrong one.
Okay. Let me get on the right one here.
Okay. Okay, we can go ahead and adopt the correct amendment. Can you give me the drafting code?
I don't know that I actually see that drafting code with me.
Okay, it's 015127.
Correction, I do have that one. That is correct.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is on the bill. Okay, now you can explain this.
Thank you, and I can repeat what I said, exactly what that amendment did, so
Well,
if you need me to
I
repeat.
think we're fine.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions on that? No. Okay. There's no further questions. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor of sending House Bill 2743 as amended to state full signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The bill goes to state full.
All right, thank you, Chair Lady.
Thank you. Item number 9 is House Bill 2442 by Chairman Farmer. We have a motion. We have a second? We have a proper motion and second. Chairman, you're recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Chair Lady and members. I was in the Sevier County Courthouse, I guess, a couple months ago, and had an officer come up to me and said, "Hey, I've got a friend that wants to come be a police officer in Tennessee, but there's a statute that prohibits him from doing so. He served in the military, United States Marine Corps, but he's not a resident of the United States of America. He's a legal permanent resident." Well, the code says that, I guess they coupled them together, you have to be honorably discharged from the military and a legal permanent resident to qualify to be in law enforcement here in Tennessee. So I worked with the Department of Safety. I worked with Elizabeth Stroker, And she says that this would work for him, and it wouldn't allow for folks that are dishonorably discharged, or just I guess there's just a loophole there that we need to kind of tidy up, and it would allow for more folks to come and be able to work in law enforcement here in Tennessee if we can pass this.
Okay.
He's in North Carolina, wants to move to Tennessee, and just trying to help him out, and I think that'd be a help for others as well. So I think he'd be a great candidate, and if we can do this for him, it'd be great.
The question has been called. All those in favor of sending House Bill 2442 to state full signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to state full.
Okay, thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Item number 10 is House Bill 969 by Representative Dixie. Without objection, we're going to roll to the Hill. Item number 12 is House Bill 2397 by Representative Mitchell. Do I have a motion and a second? Representative, you're recognized on the bill.
Hey, thank you, Madam Chair, Lady, and Committee. This is the Buy American bill. It's in regards to steel in the United States. You know, as we've been seeing in the current times, democracy has a price. And the price is either with cash, we pay now, or it's a heavier cost later, as we're seeing. This is about American jobs. This is about American security. And all this bill would do would be require government entities to purchase American steel as long as it is not 20% higher than what they can purchase it elsewhere. This bill is model legislation that has been passed in the Texas legislature in 2017, was passed by Congress in 1993, and it's currently going through the Florida legislature, and it should pass next week in Florida. But saying that, I'm open for any questions.
Any questions from the members? Chairman Marsh.
Representative Mitchell, I see it looks like it's got a pretty good sized fiscal note on it. Is this the reason that is because it's going to cost state government, local governments a whole lot more money to do this?
Well, yeah, but you know they're looking at this as that cost. They're not taking in consideration the jobs and the dollars that will be recycled through our economy by keeping the money at home. You know, a dollar spent in a community or paid in wages in a community gets cycled back 7 times through that community. So, you know, they've come up with one number or one-sided number. They're not looking, you know, not seeing the forest for the trees.
And I agree. I hope we could do this, but in today's world, there's supply chain problems everywhere. So people are just begging for products anywhere they can find it, if they can find it. So
right. You know, and the alternative, you know, if they don't buy American steel, the steel they're going to buy is from China. So that's our choice. You know, it's either American steel or Chinese steel. I'm saying we buy American steel.
Yeah. Thank you.
Chairman Jernigan, you're recognized.
Thank you. Two things. One, we've got to start buying American products. We've got to stop relying on other countries. But two, you just got this fiscal note just now, right?
Yeah.
So you haven't had an opportunity to talk to fiscal review?
No.
Is that something I think you should, because
most definitely.
A lot of times I talk to fiscal review and I have to explain my bill to them, and then they redo the note. But if this were to get out, you would talk to fiscal review about lowering that?
Most definitely.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more discussion? Thank you. The question has been called. All those in favor of sending House Bill 2397 to state full signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to state full.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Lady, and Committee.
Thank you. Item number 11, House Bill 2026 by Chairman Littleton has been taken off notice. Item number 13 is House Bill 2589 by Chairman Littleton. I have a motion and a second. Chairman, you're recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Chair Lady. This bill arrived from a year-long finding from the Second Look Commission, a department of the Tennessee Commission of Children and Youth. The commission was created in response to the need to review and improve how the state handles severe child abuse cases. We meet along with the child counselors, judges, law enforcement, and DCS workers each month to do a deep dive investigation of these specially chosen cases. The bill I bring today is the result of some of the issues and roadblocks we find that have resulted in legislation that will help the Department of Children's Services on children and youth to do their job and protect severely abused children. So this bill requires that all full-time police officers are to receive annual in-service training on the common signs of child abuse, child sexual abuse, and how to identify children at risk of abuse, and how to comply with certain reporting requirements in current law. Requires the training to be accomplished through the viewing of a video and that's developed by a non-charitable organization.
Any questions from the members? The question has been called. All those in favor of sending House Bill 2589 to state full signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to state full.
Thank you, Chair Lady and Committee.
Thank you. Item number 14 is House Bill 1916 by Chairman Eldridge. We have a proper motion and second. Chairman, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Chairman. In this bill, we're looking to allow the state agencies to not require a baccalaureate on certain positions inside the department is totally up to them. It's just pretty simple in that section. It's hopefully to help allow some of the departments to get some more people in their workforce. I know one department in particular is very short. And I think that pretty much extends to all. So it's just opening the door, and it still is totally up to the department heads.
Thank you for that explanation. Any questions? The question has been called. All those in favor of sending House Bill 1916 to state full signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to state full.
Thank you, Chairman Lady and Committee.
Item number 15 is House Bill 2275 by Chairman Williams. We have a proper motion and second. Chairman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair Lady, members.
Do you have an amendment?
I do. Draft code 013902, which rewrites the bill.
Okay. Do we have a motion and second? We have a motion and second on the amendment. Chairman, you're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you. This bill as amended would allow us to treat EMS workers similarly to where we do to law enforcement, in that if they retire because there is a shortage of EMS workers, they can come back for a short period of time. The locals can buy them back into the workforce for a short period of time. They have to do it within 1 year of their retirement. This would allow our local EMS and our communities to be able to rehire these folks for a short period of time, and has no state impact, just local impact. And unlike the ones we did for law enforcement, this bill, which is the reason for the amendment, sunsets this provision in 2025, so we can relook at it and see what the impact was. We know that for law enforcement that not as many people came out of retirement as we'd hoped in order to try to help in our communities, but this would allow EMS to do the same. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Chairman Kiesling, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair Lady. Real quick, Chairman, that I know you said within a year, I think, right? Mm-hmm. So is there a term? Well, I mean, so once they come back, is there a limitation on the number of years that they can serve? Then,
no, it's actually a number of days, I think.
Oh, is it?
Yes,
Oh, okay. And now, forgive me, I haven't reviewed the amendment. Yeah. So anyway. So it's days, not years. Then.
Yes, sir. And the purpose really is to be able to try to meet a short-term need until we get more people trained for the profession. Of course, as you know, the body has in Upper East Tennessee and even in our district, Tommy Copeland has been doing their own local training of these folks to try to get more people in the workforce.
Very good. Thank you, sponsor, and thank you, Chair Lady.
Any further questions? We are voting on the bill as on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is on the bill. The question has been called. All those in favor of sending House Bill 2275 to state full signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to state full. Item number 16, House Bill 2763 by Chairman Hurt has been rolled to the Hill. Item number 17, House Bill 2864 by Chairman Rudd. We have a motion and a second. Chairman, you're recognized. Do you have an amendment?
Yeah, we have a existing amendment, plus we have a new untimely filed amendment with the administration. One sentence removed that makes the bill, and that makes them deferred on the bill. And that is, if we can adapt the new untimely amendment, it is 015307.
Do we have any objections to voting on this amendment?
It's one sentence removal, but it does reflect what was in the other minor changes that was in the previous amendment 15088. What was taken out is in item 3B, the last sentence was removed of that. It retains contained information necessary for members of the public to access the meeting. And so what was taken out was if the governing body has an internet link where the meeting is live streamed, then the internet link must be provided to the public with a public notice. And the reason why the administration wanted that one sentence, they've had recent incidents that were their live stream meetings. They have no control over who lives on, where you can see them, and there was a person that was nude. So they wanted that part out so they have a little bit better control of who's online.
That's a great explanation.
Chairman Jernigan, did you have a question?
I don't. I'm good. Yeah.
No? Chair, Speaker Marsh, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Exactly what does the bill do now
What
with
the
these
bill
amendments?
is what the bill does is the bill updates Section 108 of the Open Meetings Act pertaining to governing bodies and meetings that are held by electronic means. The amendment makes the bill, and what it does is Section 108 allows members of the state boards and commissions and emergency communication district boards to meet using electronic means. This part of the code was first established by state boards and commissions in 1990 and has since been updated through the years, but it has never been updated to require boards to allow its members to participate by electronic means. Also, it allows the public to view and listen to by electronic means. Technology's gotten ahead of the law.
Okay. So without objection, we will consider the untimely amendment. Do we need a motion and a second? Okay. Thank you. Chairman, now you're recognized on the amendment. I think you explained it.
Yes, it makes the bill, and it does make the administration deferred. This is a good bill. It brings code up to date, and it allows the public to view and listen. Also, it allows the boards to operate legally by electronic means and protects them as well. Just more or less, it's kind of a cleanup bill to some degree.
All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is on the bill. The question has been called. All those in favor of sending House Bill 2864 to state full signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to state full. Item number 18 is House Bill 2551 by Representative Manis. We have a proper motion and second. Representative, you are recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is House Bill, 2551. And what this House bill does is this existing language does not explicitly allow local governments to conduct oral and or written interviews, presentations, and or demonstrations with proposers, but just only discussions. Some local government attorneys have opined that their local governments may not conduct interviews, presentations, or demonstrations with proposers, again, but only discussions. This interpretation places those governments at a very severe disadvantage when conducting the request for competitive sealed proposals process. That's simply what this piece of legislation does, and I stand ready to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions from the members? The question has been called. All those in favor of sending House Bill 2551 to state full signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. It goes to state full. Thank
Madam
you.
Chair. Thank you, committee.
Item number 19, House Bill 1957 by Representative Gillespie has been rolled to the Hill. Item number 20, House Bill 1991 by Chairman Haston has been taken off notice. Item number 21, House Bill 1760 by Chairman Curcio. We'll roll that to the Hill. Item number 22 is House Bill 1402 by Chairman Curcio. We will roll that to the Hill. Item number 23 is House Bill 1852 by Chairman Boyd. Item number 23 is House Bill 1852 by Chairman Boyd.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
We have a proper motion and second. Chairman, you're recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Chairman, committee. What House Bill 1852 would do is it would provide a pathway for veterans that have served in the military during certain periods of armed conflict to be able to buy up to 4 years into the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System. Now, we've seen this idea floated before over the years, and just to give you a little bit of a background, prior to 1975, the time was given to the veterans, so they actually didn't pay for it. All of the cost was eaten by the state or the local government. I'm sorry I'm out of breath. I literally ran here from committee to get over here, but what this bill does differently is instead of everyone that served in the military from 1975 to the present, it actually picks out certain periods of time that we were actually at war. And it's those periods of time that you're eligible to buy. And what makes it different than other versions of this bill in the past is it would require the employee to pay 9% for every year that they wanted to buy based on their current salary, up to a maximum of 4 years. So, Madam Chairman, that pretty much encompasses the bill.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members? Speaker Marsh, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. 9% of what? I mean, how do you get to the figure?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So it's 9% of whatever their current pay is. So if someone was currently working for the state or local government, and of course it is permissive for local government, but if they were making $50,000 a year, then they would pay 9% of $50,000. That would get them 1 year.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none. All those in favor of House Bill 1852 going to state full signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to state full. Thank you.
He's also got one.
Oh, he does. Yep. Item number 24 is House Bill 2382 by Chairman Boyd. Do I have a motion and a second? Do you have an amendment?
Madam Chairman, I do have an amendment. I'm showing drafting code 014489.
We have a motion and second on the amendment. You're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So the amendment is the bill, and what this does, it kind of works in tandem with the bill that I just described to you. That bill, we've been working with the treasurer for about 2 years on to put a lot of thought into a lot of the details that we came up with on the previous bill. What the treasurer is seeking to do on this one is to create a trying to think of the right word, kind of a sub-account within the TCRS trust for veteran funds. And so what this would do is it would establish that account within the TCRS and with hopes of one-time money by the administration to fund that, which would not only take care of this bill, but it would have money set aside in the event that in the future there was a need for any funds. They would draw down on it as needed. The money could not be used for anything else. It would only be for veteran purposes within the TCRS, and it would be managed and invested just like regular TCRS funds. I'll take any questions, Madam Chairman.
Any questions on the amendment? We are voting on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Chairman, you explain the bill.
No further explanation. The amendment makes the bill, Madam Chairman.
Any further questions on the bill? We are now voting on House Bill 2382. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to state full.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, Committee.
We are back to item number 21, House Bill 1760 by Chairman Curcio. We have a proper motion and a second.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee, and I apologize. I was running down the hall and didn't make it in time.
That's okay. I see that you have an amendment. Can you give me the drafting code?
Yes, ma'am. I've got drafting code 14286.
Okay. Is there a motion and second on the amendment?
Motion. Second.
We have a proper motion and second. Please explain your amendment.
Thank you very much. This bill and the bill right after this one both came to me from my county attorney, a man named Brian Reagan, who's been a dear friend for a long time. Actually used to work at the AG's office. But Dixon County, the House Bill 1760, the amendment we're talking about here, deals with this issue. Dixon County received a request from a law enforcement officer last year instructing, not asking, but instructing the county to redact information about property ownership in the county. And he was using subsection F in this section of the code as the basis. The officer was not and had never been employed by the county. It was determined that subsection F was intended to address employment records held by the employing governmental entity, and that this subsection did not require the requested redactions. So this amendment just clarifies that subsection F only applies to that county's employees or former employees. If the General Assembly wants to entertain legislation to help out law enforcement officers from other jurisdictions, I think that would be a separate issue. But it was determined that we really needed some clarifying language to clarify that subsection F only applied to that county's employees or their former employees.
Do we have any questions from the members on the amendment? Seeing none, we are voting on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is on the bill. We had someone here to speak. I do not see her. So we are going to move on. Are there any? Question has been called. All those in favor of sending House Bill 1760 to full state signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to state full.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you, Committee.
Item number 22 is House Bill 1402 by Chairman Curcio. We have a motion and a second.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. I do also have an amendment on this one, and it's coded 14439.
There's a motion and second on the amendment. Chairman, you're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you very much. This one is really, again, from the same source. If the caption would have held it, they would have been one bill. But so this is kind of a continuation. But again, dealing with public records inquiries. So Section 1 of the amendment deals with the following. So parties to litigation are permitted to obtain records through the normal discovery process. This amendment is intended to limit the use of the Public Records Act to circumvent the process established under various court rules for obtaining records when a government entity is a party. Section 2 deals with that governmental entities are increasingly receiving and then must respond to records requests from individuals who've been contacted by other organizations who may be out of state, seeking records for the purpose of conducting student or other research, preparing state law surveys, or preparing to litigate some matter. So the individuals are being used for their residency qualifications. So somebody from California may call somebody in Dixon County and say, hey, you're a resident, so why don't you call and make this request for me? And I don't know if they're compensating them somehow or whatnot, but it's making it very, very troublesome or very difficult for the county government. So The individual is just the vehicle for an otherwise unqualified entity or individual to obtain the record. And so while adding this amendment may be difficult to enforce, it would at least allow local government entities to challenge the requests on a case-by-case basis. So it basically allows them to inquire whether or not they're making this inquiry on behalf of a third party.
Do we have any? The question has been called on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is on the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
The question has been called. All those in favor of sending House Bill 1402 to state full signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to state full.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee.
Item number 25 is House Bill 2694 by Representative Miller. We have a motion and a second. Representative, you are recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 2694 requires the Office of Diversity Business Enterprises to publish an annual report listing each state department additional goals and achievements, and it will cover information in reference to the types of contracts, the number of contracts that, let's say, small businesses, individuals with disabilities, disabled veterans, and it will give a detailed annual report to the General Assembly on what those numbers look like, basically. And the Office of ODBE currently prints an annual report containing such information. The office can meet the requirements of the legislation, utilizing, existing resources. So that's basically what the bill does.
Thank you. Chairman Kiesling, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair Lady. And just a quick question, Representative Miller. So this is the first, they haven't been doing this historically in the past then? This is the first time we've ever asked for this?
No, it's not. They actually do a report they've been doing for the last several years. What this bill is asking for is more detailed information.
I see.
More detailed information.
Forgive me, excuse me.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Representative Miller. Thank you, Chair Lady.
Speaker Marsh, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And then the department agrees that they can do this without.
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
Any further questions? The question has been called. All those in favor of sending House Bill 2694 to state full signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to state full.
Thank you,
House
Madam
Bill
Chair.
2694.
Thank you.
Item number 26 is House Bill 2723 by Representative Miller.
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady.
We have a motion and a second. I do believe we have an untimely filed amendment. Does anyone have any objections to hearing this? Chairman Kiesling?
Chair Lady, thank you. Not as long as it isn't substantive, and I think do we turn at this point to our attorney, to legal, to
We will go out of session and hear from Josh Houston.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This amendment, Josh Houston from Legal Services. This amendment, I don't think would be substantive. It just requires the Department of Human Resources to develop the policies and procedures necessary to implement the section. So,
thank you.
Just a clarifying.
Thank you, legal. Thank you, Chair Lady.
We are back in session. Chairman Marsh.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Representative Miller, is this to get 5 days off to care for a minor child that was required to stay at home because of the COVID? Is this paid leave or unpaid leave?
Thank you, Representative Marsh. Again, I think the amendment will actually make the bill, and the untimely amendment, the Department of Human Services shall come up with the policies and procedures.
So that's what the bill's doing, is letting them come up with it.
Exactly, at
Okay.
this point.
Thank you.
Yes.
We need a motion and a second on this untimely amendment. Okay, there's a proper motion and a second. Any further questions from the members on the amendment? All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is on the bill. Representative, you are recognized on the bill as amended.
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady. And basically, the amendment makes the bill, and I think it's a pretty good bill for our state employees.
We do have someone here from the Human Resources, if we have any questions, if he wants to speak. Do we have any questions from him? No, thank you. Okay, thank you. All those in favor of sending House Bill 2723 to state full signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to state full.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank
and
you.
members of the committee.
Okay. Item number 3 is House Bill 2728 by Leader Lamberth. We have a motion and a second.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and I apologize. I've been down at Criminal Sub. They've got a rather large calendar, and I know y'all do too, so sorry for being a little late here.
I see you have an amendment. Can you give me your drafting code, please?
Yes, ma'am. Amendment coded 014785 makes the bill.
We have a motion and second on the amendment. Leader, you are recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And the amendment, again, makes the bill. It came to my attention a few months ago that court reporters that are in the courtroom all day long, that are contracted court reporters to work in that courtroom, if they are sued, the Attorney General's office cannot represent them. That's a problem. They used to be, apparently years ago, state employees, and there are lots of other areas where we make exceptions where the Attorney General's office can represent that person in a lawsuit, but we do not make that exception for court reporters. So for purposes of being state employees, the only change that this would make is that they would be considered state employees for purposes of representation if sued while doing their duties as a court reporter in a courtroom.
Any questions from the members? We are voting on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is on the bill. The question has been called. All those in favor of sending House Bill 2728 to state full signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to state full.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. I truly appreciate all y'all.
Item number 27 is House Bill 1722 by Chairman Russell. Chairman, you're recognized. I see that you have an amendment. Can you verify the drafting code?
Yes, Madam Chairman. It's 014249.
Is there a motion and second on the amendment? Chairman, you're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The amendment makes the bill. I was working with the treasurer so we can reduce the cost of the original bill. And what this does is it allows a retired member of the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System to cancel the selected designated beneficiary and just assign a new one. And apparently this can't be done until this bill's ran. You can cancel one for a divorce or, of course, a death would lose the beneficiary, but this right here would just change that.
Do we have any questions from the members on the amendment? All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is on the bill. Chairman?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The amendment makes the bill. I renew my motion.
The question has been called. All those in favor of sending House Bill 1722 to state full signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to state full. Item number 28 is House Bill 1658 by Chairman Russell. Do I have a motion and a second? Chairman, do you have an amendment?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I do. It's 014964.
Is there a motion and second on the amendment? Second. Chairman, you're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. House Bill 1658, as amended, would give an hour-for-hour retirement credit for TCRS members that work during the state of emergency. These employees were not allowed to work remotely due to their work responsibilities. We often tell our frontline workers that we appreciate them. Today is an opportunity to show we appreciate them with a vote in favor of this bill.
Any questions from the members? Seeing none, we are voting on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment is on the bill. Any further questions from the members? We are now voting on House Bill 1658. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Bill goes to state full.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members.
Item number 29 is House Bill 2572 by Chairman Doggett. Roll that to the Hill. Item number 30 is House Bill 2574 by Chairman Doggett. Roll that to the Hill. Item number 32 is House Bill 2693 by Chairman Sexton.
Okay, we need to
Roll that to the Hill. Item number 31 is House Bill 2588 by Chairman Sexton. It has been rolled to the Hill. Item number 33 is House Bill 2873 by Chairman Weaver. It's been rolled to the Hill. Item number 35 is House Bill 2872 by Chairman Hawk. It has been rolled to the Hill. Item number... I thought that was...
Oh, it's supposed to be Weaver, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Item number 35 is House Bill 2872 by Chairman Weaver. It has been rolled to the Hill. Item number 36 is House Bill 1717 by Representative Warner. It has been rolled to the Hill. Item number 37 is House Bill 1718 by Representative Warner. It has been taken off notice. Item number 38 is House Bill 2485 by Representative Warner. I'm going to roll that to the Hill. Item number 32 is House Bill 2227 by Chairman Wendell.
Chairman, there's a bill that's a mirror to this bill, and I'm going to defer to that sponsor and therefore off notice, please.
House Bill 2227 has been taken off notice. We are now at the hill of the final calendar.
Dixie, he did not request to roll to the Hill, so we need to start with number 10, Dixie. Who's the one?
Where is it? Do I have a motion to adjourn? We have a motion to adjourn. All of the remaining calendar will be on our next calendar.
Roll to next.
Will be rolled till our next meeting. We are adjourned.